Welcome Leica fans. In today's video I drive my Leica M10-P back to Wetzlar because they forgot to finish the upgrade. Yes, it sounds crazy, but I will explain. Stay with me and I'll also share 10 things that I learnt from the Leica customer services team with regards to if you're sending things into Leica for repairs. Hey guys, Matt here from MrLeica.com. So first I'll share 10 things, got a list here, that I learnt from the customer services team at the Leica Park in Wetzlar. Then stay with me until the end and I'll share a little bit more about my Leica M10-P adventures. So 10 things I learnt from the customer services department, in particular Nicholas Kaufman, who kindly gave us some of his time, and I was just firing questions at him for my own kind of knowledge, but then I thought you guys would probably be interested to hear the results as well, or the answers. For clarity, these are the people that you're going to be dealing with if you're sending any of your Leica cameras or lenses back to Germany for repair. I've got digital M's, I've got film M's, but it could also be SLs, Qs, or any of the lenses. Okay, 10 interesting facts. Number one, this will blow your brains out. Leica customer services team receive 100 packages a day average of people sending their things in for repair. This comes, I think it said, from 98 countries, but basically from around the world. Everything's sent into Germany and then they have to kind of start working on them. This is why things take some time, as I'll explain in a second. Hearing that news, the first question I asked was, Nicholas, how many technicians have you actually got working on our cameras? They have got 45 technicians and it takes 3 years to train up a technician to work on your cameras or lenses. That's a minimum of 3 years. It can take longer to obviously build up a more detailed knowledge, as I'll explain in a second, when it comes to analog cameras. Number three, in terms of lead times, it depends on the type of camera that you're sending in. If you're sending in digital M cameras, that's going to take at the moment roughly 4 to 6 months on average. And then other cameras like Qs, S, SL, around 2 to 4 months, slightly faster for those cameras. The main reason with the M cameras, obviously, these are much more mechanical. You've got range finders to calibrate, stuff like that, as again, I'll mention in a second. Number four, now if you send in analog cameras, such as this nice M3, it's going to take around 12 months average to get your camera serviced. And that's because analog cameras need a higher level of technical skills to repair them, and they just take longer to work on. I'll explain the details in just a second. It actually takes longer to repair older M cameras and older Leica film cameras compared to more modern Leica film cameras. If you saw my videos recently, I bought a Leica MA and previously a Leica MP, which was then returned. You've also got the re-released Leica M6. Those three cameras are slightly faster to repair compared to, say, an M3 or an M2, because as I understand it, you've now got sub-assemblies inside the cameras. So what that means is it's kind of lots of little parts all put together. Let's just take, for example, the shutter section of your camera. I don't know if this is exactly true, but just as a simple example, if you've got a pre-built shutter mechanism that fits your MA, MP, re-release of the M6, they can basically take out a faulty shutter, drop in a pre-made, pre-assembled shutter, and it's much faster than, say, an old camera, M2, M3, where they've got to build all the little bits to make a shutter to go into your camera, rather than just swapping a whole piece out. So that's why more modern film cameras are faster to repair, in theory, than the older film cameras. Correct me in the comments below if you know any different, but this is my understanding. Tip number 5, very topical at this time of year. I'm making this video in December, and during the holiday period, Leica receive a lot more cameras to repair than at normal times of the year. Nicholas explained it as people sending in their collection of cameras, or they've actually got time to dig out their collection of Leica cameras, and they just seem to get a big rush of cameras during the Christmas period or holiday periods. So try to avoid the holiday periods, because you are going to be waiting even longer because of the big backlog of just all the stuff coming in. Number 6, now I did mention that digital cameras are faster to work on than analog cameras. And this is because, as I understand it, again, if you think of like a modern car, you've got that kind of onboard mini computer. And this is the same for modern digital cameras. They've got like a little mini onboard computer. They can plug in the camera to the software and it'll quickly give you a readout. The problem with this camera is, I don't know, the shutter's not working, whatever. This isn't really possible with analog cameras, and that's why digital cameras are faster. And talking of analog cameras, number 7, analog cameras are more difficult to repair than digital cameras for the simple reason As mentioned with the digital cameras, you can plug it into the computer will give you the problem. You can't really plug in a analog camera. Yes, there are some modern tools that will help you work on a analog camera, as I understand. But for the most part, if you think of using a film camera, just checking there's no film in this M3. If you think of a film camera, if you've used film cameras for a long time, you will know that there's a problem with the camera just by the sounds and the feel of the camera. So you advance it, you can normally tell. If you use a film camera a lot, you'll know straight away if the shutter sounds a little bit too slow, for example, or just something is making a strange noise. Nicholas explained that as technicians need to learn to feel and kind of listen to film cameras to be able to diagnose film cameras. So this takes much more kind of practice and years of experience than kind of just straight 3 years out of the workshops required to work on the digital cameras. Talking of the workshops, as I understand, they have kind of maxed out the amount of people they're trying to train to reduce the backlog. But yeah, 3 years is obviously a long time, even for the digital cameras, to get trained up to work on. What number are we up to? I think number 8. Number 8, the lead times used to be, I believe Nicholas said, 2 to 3 weeks to repair a camera. That sounds kind of feasible. Because so many Leica cameras are sold each year, and every year you've got the same number of vintage cameras plus new cameras being added to that pool, the amount of cameras actually coming back for repair just goes up and up and up. I mean, people like me are using cameras, Leica cameras from 1930s onwards. So people are sending them into service, thereby the demand for customer services is going up and up and up. At the moment, they said the lead times have come down a little bit, but they're going to go back up again for Christmas. So they're trying to work on projects to try to reduce the backlog going into 2025. Number 9, I was with my friend Thomas. I'll show more about that in the next video. Great question that Thomas asked. Can you repair any Leica camera regardless of the damage? And Nicholas said, to the most part, they can repair every single Leica camera and every single Leica lens, or if not, they can replace it. Nicholas explained that a Leica camera fell off the back of a motorcycle, I think during an accident, and kind of rolled down the road. And so when you've only got a little ball of metal left and millions of pieces, it's going to be more of a replacement than a repair job. I think Thomas also asked, what's the kind of worst thing you can do to a digital camera? And this can be any digital camera. And Nicholas said saltwater damage. Now, I know this 100% myself because I was shooting in Poland maybe 5, 6, 7 years ago. And I had a Hasselblad across my chest and then a Leica camera in my hand. And a wave went over my Hasselblad H3D31 and just killed the camera. Because the salt gets in and then you get all the corrosion. So where possible, don't drop your cameras in salt water. Top tip. Number 10, I asked the question, which cameras do you receive the most back for repair? And when you think about it, it makes sense. Leica sells mostly M cameras. They're their top selling cameras, even though during times of new releases, let's say the release of the new Q3 4.3, if you saw that video, or Q3, Leica SL3, whatever. When Leica release a new model, everybody buys a new model, but then they go back to buying their M cameras after. So M cameras are the best sellers. As a result of that, most cameras coming back for repair tend to be M cameras. I asked for specific models and he said maybe M10s and M11s for digitals in terms of the most coming back for a repair. That might be just probability based on the amount being used in the kind of the current time, 2024. And I said, what about film cameras? And he said, film cameras, mostly M3s, because obviously there were so many of those made back in the day and they're still so popular today. Now, as promised at the start of the video, I have a bonus tip for you and I'll explain a bit more about why I was in Germany. So if you saw the video, I bought a Leica M10. I then sent it to Germany through Leica Mayfair and said, can you convert it to a Leica M10-P? I asked for a half conversion, which means they changed the top plate. You've got the script on the top and no red dot. And so I got it back, I made the video, said, oh, it all looks great, very nice. After making the video, I checked and I noticed that they hadn't updated the firmware and I couldn't update it remotely. So I had no kind of leveling, I had no touchscreen, I had no perspective control. I think those are the main things. So I wrote to Leica and said, hey guys, you didn't finish the job basically. Can I send it back? Because I need my camera I'm using it for kind of day-to-day photos. They said, yes, it'll probably take 2 to 3 months. I think that's what they said. And I'm like, I can't wait another 2-3 months without my camera. I've already paid for the work and it's only just come back and I've got to lose it again for another 3 months. I'm like, fine, I'll drive the camera to Wetzlar myself and try and get it done the same day. So obviously I live in the UK and Wetzlar's in Germany. So one of my kind patrons, Thomas, agreed that if I flew into Germany, he'd drive from the Netherlands, pick me up, and then would drive to Wetzlar, go and check it out. It was going to be my very first visit to Leica Park after writing about Leica cameras for over a decade and owning many of the different models and many of the different lenses. To keep this video short, I will make a second video explaining the full road trip and everything that we got up to. They did fix my camera same day while we waited, and while I was there, I accidentally bumped into another famous face. I'll share that in the next video. If you missed my video on the Leica M10 to Leica M10-P upgrade, check out this video next. Subscribe to see the full video from Wetzlar. Let me know in the comments what you think based on the different facts that I just gave you. And as always, a huge thanks to my amazing patrons.